Doctors in the Russian Federation are subject to the decision of the highest military leadership, and the solution is simple. Everyone in Russia is fit for army service, former military doctors in Russia say.
Hospitals are subordinate to the general staff and do as they are told. Now the settings have become tougher because the army needs people. If all parts of the body of a soldier are in their place, he must be declared fit for service and sent back to the front line. Maxim Miromanov, former military surgeon, in an interview with Radio Liberty.
Serviceman Alexei Zaitsev received a minor explosive wound at the front line, and despite the fragments in his legs, the doctors recognized him as fit for service. The Union of Committees of Soldiers' Mothers is sure that this is the willfulness of doctors. Either way, the result is the same. Soldiers wounded in the course of hostilities have to sue for absolutely everything, starting with a certificate for getting wounded at the front and ending with payment. Indeed, a soldier cannot stop military service without an appropriate document. According to experts, it's all about the shortage of personnel and the massive termination of contracts. Earlier, the Ministry of Defense of Russia announced that they plan to complete the formation of a reserve army.
We form reserves as part of the Army Corps, plus 5 regiments in the 1st and 20th Tank Armies. Everything is going according to plan. In fact, we will complete the formation of a reserve army by the end of June, and we will complete the formation of the Army Corps in the near future. 5 regiments have already been formed by more than 60%. In this case, I am talking about both personnel and equipment. Sergei Shoigu, Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, during a meeting of the President of Russia with members of the Security Council.
According to the military leadership of the Federation, at least 1,300 people sign contracts with the Russian army per day, and they say everyone is eager to fight.
The Russian government hopes to recruit military personnel through recruitment and not by conducting a second wave of mobilization. Because the mobilization, although it was carried out, was still ambiguously accepted in Russia. A contract soldier is a volunteer. That is a person who voluntarily enters into a contract, and according to Russian laws, this still remains in the state.
Only those who have already entered the service speak frankly about the lawlessness and failures of the Russian army. In March 2023, the hero of Russia, Dmitry Lysitsky, committed suicide. Before his death, he wrote memos to Putin and Shoigu about the defeat of Russian troops during the attack on Mykolaiv.
Lysitsky wrote memos about who was to blame for the defeat of the 247th Regiment, which he sent in the name of Vladimir Putin, Sergei Shoigu, Valery Gerasimov, as well as to the presidential administration and the Ministry of Defense. The BBC edition writes, citing its sources.
However, no one responded to Lysitsky's letters. There are hundreds of similar stories when the Russian military speaks openly about the failures of the Federation Army, about the lawlessness of commanders, about unpaid salaries and lack of equipment, and it is becoming more difficult for the Russian authorities to hide the realities. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Yuliia Hranovska, UATV News.